I'm sharing 5 cards using Spellbinders Club Kits for November 2025. I'm going to be sharing the small die, the large die, the stencil, the Glimmer hot foil, the 3D embossing folder, and the little bonus die that you get if you get the whole caboodle of all of the club kits from Spellbinders. Hey everyone, it's Joy here and welcome to my channel. Now I have done all of my die cutting. I have everything in little containers from scrapbook.com. They're little stack and sort trays. These images here are from the small die of the month. These are cute waffles. You have some bacon, you have a fried egg. Now these also have where you can put faces on them and arms and legs. I wasn't really feeling the faces or arms and legs. I was just kind of going more literal with the food. And I have used papers from scrapbook.com, and I'm also using some distressed oxide inks to do a little bit of ink blending. I have my grip mate here that I'm going to be using because it's sticky. You can stencil on it. Everything holds nicely together. So again, this is the small die of the month. I did a little bit of ink blending on the fried egg with wild honey. And then I'm using gathered twigs for the waffles because I want them to be a little bit toasty. So this month's club I think is real. I mean, I always think they're really cute. I think this is really fun. So this very much comes across as kind of a girl's time. You're going to go have brunch. You have these cute purses, these fun charms. I don't know all of the other clubs because I don't have all of them. But again, starting in January of 2026, I will be doing all of the club kits for Spellbinders. So you can find all of those here on my channel. Here is this cute champagne glass. We're going to make pink champagne. This is also from the small die of the month. These have faces as well. I'm not using that. But this has also in the large die, it's this cute purse with charms, which I think is so cute. The stencil has I think 5 stencils to it. That creates a really fun background. I'm going to use that a couple times for 2 cards actually. We have the 3D embossing folder, which gives us some really beautiful texture. It's kind of like a quilted background, but really pretty. Then we have the Glimmer hot foil. We have a couple of great sentiments there. And then the foiling. It's just a fun pattern and it's so perfect for a little purse. So I'm just kind of going through my containers and ink blending. So I might be repeating colors. And then as I'm putting it through, I'll kind of talk a little bit more about the pieces. And kind of how they go together. I do have this sped up. It is a longer video because I created 5 cards. So if you want to speed it up a little bit, go ahead. If I'm going a little too fast, you can slow it down on YouTube using that little gear. And yeah, so I'm just going to ink blend some of these things. I love that look. I try to do it more often than I don't. Sometimes either the dies are too small or I have way too many and I just don't want to spend the time to color them. But it also makes it easier when you're starting off with colored cardstock. So this is Kraft cardstock from Gina K. From Spellbinders, I'm using gold mirror cardstock, seaside chiffon, pomegranate, teal topaz, rainforest blush, truffle acorn, fawn, and beeswax. And then I'm also going to be using a little bit of vellum. I'm using some oval dies from Spellbinders. I'm going to be using some glossy accents, some pops of color. Yeah, so we have a lot of fun things going on. I did really enjoy putting these cards together. I think I was finding my green, or no, I'm using ground espresso, excuse me. I'm using a little bit of a darker brown to go on my red because I don't have a red ink darker than this cardstock. This is pomegranate cardstock and I think it's such a beautiful red. So I just used a little bit of brown. I'm using Mowed lawn here on the rainforest cardstock. Again, just going through each one of my stacks for each one of my cards that I'm putting together. Some of the pieces I may not repeat because if you've seen it once before, some I kind of do, but I'm really just kind of showing you all the things of putting this together. We have this cute little teddy bear charm. This is from the large die of the month. So all the charms are from the large die, except for a little pig that you're going to see. That is that little bonus die that when you have the whole caboodle, which means you have all of the club kits, you get this little bonus die. Well, it's a little pig with wings. So like when pigs fly, I think it's so funny. I opted to not use the wings. I liked the little pig as is. And so I am going to leave him how he is. The teddy bear is die cut from truffle and acorn cardstocks and ink blended with gathered twigs, and I think I used a little bit of ground espresso. This is a little chiffon pig with some spun sugar, and then he has some other little pieces that go underneath him that I used a darker pink on, and which I forgot to write that down. I will get that for you in the description, but I didn't need to ink blend that. Then here we have more of that Kraft cardstock, and we have this cute little like tie, you know, maybe it's a little satin tie, something like that, that just is cute on the purse handle. We have some cherries here, so I'm just going to do that same little bit of ink blending. And then we're going to get to start making some of these cards. Some of them have plain backgrounds, one has a stenciled background, one has a 3D embossed background. We have a lot going on. It's a lot of fun. I did bring in some gold mirror cardstock that is on every card except for one. One of these cards I feel like you could give to a guy or a girl, either one, even though there's a little bit of pink on it, but I think you could get away with it. Okay, so let's start on our stenciling background. So this is going to stencil stripes and cherries. So I'm using Salvaged Patina, and I'm going to go heavier on my first stencil here, which has the stripe, one of the sets of stripes. The second stencil, I'm going to go a little bit lighter, and then you throw in the cherries. This is such a fantastic stencil. Oh my gosh, I was thinking like I have to use this more than just on these cards because they're so cute. And again, I use this on a different card, but I only use a partial stencil. So definitely hang on for that. I'm going to get this lined up. You can kind of see there's registration marks on the edges. These are also numbered. I think there's 5, if I remember correctly. And then I'm just going to line that up, and I'm going to go lightly over. I don't think I added any ink to this blender, my foam dome blender tool. And I'm going to create the second set of stripes super duper light. Then I decided I'm going to have my cherries pink. This background is going to be for our champagne glasses, which is really super cute. And in that small die of the month, there are 3 sentiments in that, and in the Glimmer hot foil there are 2 sentiments. So I'm going to use a little bit of green here, some Mowed lawn for the stems and the leaves, and I'm using my small sponge daubers because they're just a little bit tinier. So on this stencil here you have cherries and green leaves, so you can't just go crazy. I mean, you could if you wanted them all the same color, but I mean, assuming you don't. So it's easier to use a smaller blending tool because I'm going to get the leaves and then I can also get the cherries. And I decided to use Kitsch Flamingo for this. So a little bit of the darker pink cherries, and my stencil slid a little bit. I don't have a lot of room on the side, so it doesn't want to stick as well to my grip mate, but I totally make it work. But look at how cute those pink cherries are. Then the next stencil, which is the last stencil, is going to have a second set of leaves on those cherry stems, and then like a little highlight dot, but I'm just going to make it a darker pink on the cherries. So let's bring that last one in and line that up. And I just think this is such a fun, cute background. So some of the cards I'm going to put partly together. At the very end, we're going to add all of the sentiments and a little bit of embellishment. But right now, I'm just kind of getting through some of my cards of ink blending, creating some of the backgrounds where there requires a background more than just a colored cardstock for the background. And so yeah, that's how we're going to put that together. So this is the stencil of the month. How cute is that? Here are these darling little wine glasses. I have die cut from Seaside Seaside cardstock and chiffon cardstock. So a piece goes behind the top because it has a little die cut openings like the little bubbles. And then here's the pink in the front. And how cute is that? And then there's a little bow that goes with it that I die cut from Gold Mirror cardstock. Because remember, I'm bringing that through 4 of the cards, not the 1 card, because I didn't want it to feel too girly. That way you could give it to whomever. I'm going to cross these, and then you can see right above that I have a piece of vellum. I have die cut that using one of Spellbinders oval dies. I wanted a little separation from the champagne glasses and the stenciled background. So I'm going to add a little bit of foam adhesive behind my champagne glasses, and I'm going to adhere that to my oval. And I'm going to add it down a little bit towards the bottom because I am going to bring in my sentiment later. I'm going to do all the sentiments at the end. And then I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind the vellum because now it'll be hidden behind the champagne glasses. So I'm going to have a little bit of dimension between the champagne glasses and the vellum and the stenciled background. And I'm doing that because when you have a little bit of distance between vellum and your background, it blurs it out a little bit more and creates a little bit more separation. If I had it just adhered directly down, it still is a little blurred, but not as much. So it really depends on the look that you're going for. And I like to have a little more separation when I have a really fun, colorful background. I love to bring vellum in for this. It's so simple, but really, really effective. So I'm going to place that right in the center, and you can see it just blurs it out just a little bit, but enough that you really can see those cute champagne glasses. Okay, so I'm going to use the 3D embossing folder. This is going to be my background for my waffles and eggs, and this is with chiffon cardstock. So again, I do feel like you could get away with giving this to a guy because to me this is more like a tablecloth. Who cares if it's pink? Then I have my oval dies. I die cut 1 oval from Seaside, and then I'm going to take a second largest one and die cut that from Teal Topaz. I'm creating this fun oval plate. You know, like when you're going to a buffet or a breakfast place, sometimes they have those big oval plates that they give you a lot of breakfast. And I'm a big breakfast eater. Like I need to have a big breakfast in my morning. The rest of the day can be smaller meals, but I have to start my day off with like a big substantial breakfast. So this was totally for me. And I've got 3 waffles here. I'm going to stack those kind of offset from each other. Then we have our egg and our piece of bacon. And we're going to add a couple little things to kind of create more realism. I say that with air quotes. I'm going to add a little bit of foam adhesive behind these. And I do actually end up trimming this down later, smaller than an A2 size, and I move my sentiment. So what you guys see me put together a little bit later, I change a tiny bit, which you'll see in the final, showcase of the cards. I'm going to add a little bit of foam adhesive behind my bacon as well. And I'm going to let that just kind of hang over those waffles. Okay, so I am going to be using banana split pops of colors and create a little melty pat of butter on that very top waffle. So it's not going to be perfect, but I think it's going to be so cute. I think I'm actually going to make it a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to use glossy accents on that egg yolk, so just to give it a little shine. And I think it's really cute. I like this card. But normally I wait till the very end of all my cards to do anything wet. Like this, it has to dry, but they're both very thin layers and I have to work on my other 4 cards. So by the time I was ready to get back to this, it was pretty dry to the touch. Like I wouldn't put it in an envelope yet, but I was able to work with it without messing anything up. So I'm going to put that aside. Let's go on to our first purse card. So I'm going to use that same 3D embossing folder with our Kraft cardstock purse. I was kind of thinking like camel and pink. I think that would be a cute purse. And then we have some fun pieces that we're going to add. We have like our little lock. I don't want to say, but it is like a little lock. So you have this angled die cut piece that die cuts out the shape of the purse. And I have that adhered to a piece of Seaside cardstock, or that's what I'm going to adhere it to because that's going to be the background. So you're kind of just getting a partial view of a purse, which I think is really cute. And so I'm going to line up that pink lock on the left side, having it hang over, and I will trim a little bit of that excess off. Then we have some charms. So again, this is from the large die of the month. We've got some really cute charms that I'm going to put on this purse. There's like a little change purse, and there are cherries, which I do use the cherries twice. There's a bow for the cherries. You have like a little clasps and chain that hang down. You have your purse handle, and there's multiple pieces for that, and that's really, really cute. So here's my purse handle, and you can kind of see how that's going to go together. You could definitely have it bent more or a little more straight depending on how you want it to go, which I think is cute. I'm going to add 1mm foam adhesive behind my purse handle here. And then I can just place that over. How cute is that? And again, anything that's hanging over the edge, I will trim off. Then we have this little piece here, and I just wish I could remember what color pink that was to tell you guys. I'm so sorry. It's the darker pink. It's not chiffon. Chiffon is the lighter pink. I'm going to adhere that little gold ring from Glimmer cardstock, because that's going to attach all of our charms to that. Which I just think this is such a cute little die cut idea. Again, this is the large die of the month. How cute is that? Now we have our little tie here, and I did it in the same Seaside, but I did ink blend it a little bit. And you have the centerpiece, and I'm just going to have that tied right there on the purse, on the purse handle. Then we have our little change purse here, so you have to adhere the two little little metal clasp that, you know, you push them in different ways and it opens up your little change purse. So cute. I think these cherries are darling. These have faces for the cherries. I opted again for not that, but they have that. So if you wanted to put that on there, that would be really cute. And then let me get my two cherries here adhered to their stems. And there is a bow that's going to go on the cherries, and that is from Glimmer cardstock. We have two chain pieces and our one of our little clasps. And the clasp is going to hold the change purse. We have two leaves. I do end up changing the orientation of these because once I realized when I was putting my bow on there, it kind of hid the leaves all the way. And so I don't want to do that. So here's this cute little clasp. It's so easy to put together. You're just going to line that up just like that. And when you're using your liquid glue on like shiny gold mirror or mirror cardstocks, you have to give it a second to dry. It takes a little bit longer because it's such a glossy surface. So I'm going to add one little piece of chain. So I'm going to trim this down that connects to our little clasp there. But I'm going to let that dry for a second. Let me get our little clasp here for our cherries. So these are like little charms that are going to be hanging off the purse, which I think is really, really cute. What a fun little idea. I think I was kind of deciding like where something needs to be, how long it needs to be. So I'm going to make sure I don't have the little change purse hanging off. I didn't want that. Some of the cherries do, and I do trim the excess off, but I think that's totally fine. But look at how cute this is. And I'm going to add a piece of 1mm foam adhesive behind that just to give that a little bit of dimension from the back of the purse. And the same thing with the cherries. So I used a lot of low profile foam adhesive. The sentiments I used 2mm because I did want those to be popped up a little bit higher. But for the most part, I used 1mm foam adhesive. I'm going to hook that little chain there because that is where our cherries are going to be. So let me get that cherry hooked back on there. And here is this pretty little bow that's going to go on the cherries as well. But you could put this bow anywhere. I think that could be cute hanging off the arm of the purse or the handle of the purse. Okay, so now we have that together. I was just using my tweezers to hold the two pieces of gold mirror cardstock together. I'm going to trim that excess off. And then again, a little bit of foam adhesive behind the cherries, 1 millimeter. And then I can place this on our chain. And this card panel is trimmed down slightly smaller than an A2 size. So when I adhere it to my white card base, I'm going to have a nice little white mat around it. I did that with that little waffle card too, but the other ones, they just have a full background. Oh my gosh, look at how cute. That's when I realized, oh, I got to move those leaves. So good thing they were still kind of wet and I was able to cover up where it was just a little bit messy, but nobody would know. So let me get that in place and then we can go on to our next card. Isn't that so cute? Okay, so I have a purse. I have my Glimmer hot foil system on. I have a white purse. I'm using mixed media white cardstock from Spellbinders. I created a little hinge with my mint tape and I'm going to use the foil. I think this is the rose foil that comes in the Glimmer hot foil kit. And we're going to foil this design onto this white purse. So this purse is going to be like white and gold and we're going to have some really cute other charms on here as well, but I wanted to foil this fun background on here. So once that's heated up, I'm going to pull it out of the docking station and place my plate and my shim, run that through my die cut machine. And I do like to go a little bit slowly forward and back. And we're going to lift this up and we got a perfect foil on here. And what a fun pattern it is. And I love it against the white cardstock. This will also be on a seaside background. Here's the two sentiments that come with the Glimmer hot foil. And I actually do this twice, but once off camera. And I'm going to do it on black cardstock. I love the addition of the black sentiment on all of these cards. One says, saw this and thought of you. The other one says, here's to another well-styled year. So super, super cute to give to a friend or a sister or whatever. So let's peel this back and oh, it's so pretty. So I'm going to do that again, but off camera. And I do use the coordinating dies to die cut those out. Okay, so I'm going to do a different handle. There's kind of this thicker chain in the large die, and I'm going to create this thicker handle for the purse, but it's going to be a chain, which I think is fun and different. We are going to use the teddy bear, the pig, that's that bonus die, and the little dice that comes in the large die of the month. So all the charms that you get are in the large die are the teddy bear, the dice, the cherries, and that little mini change purse, which I think is really, really cute. So I've got that glued down. Here's our little clasp. I showed this on the last card. I'm going to put that together. And I'm actually going to clasp this up higher, which I have to do. Here's a different kind of snap for the purse, and I did that out of gold mirror cardstock. I'm going to add 1 millimeter foam adhesive and place that down so you can get some different looks to your purse for sure, which I think is fantastic. There are so many dies in this to create just such fun things. Okay, let's put together our charms. And there's a different little charm. It's like a little loop. I opted to use the chain for mine, but you could use this little loop that hooks to that little ring there if you wanted to do that, but that's not what I did. Here's that cute little teddy bear. Oh my gosh, he's so darling. And he has a little bow, like a little tie, like kind of similar to the one that is on the handle of the purse, of the other purse that I did. And I'm going to die cut that from red cardstock because I do like the pops of red that are on a lot of these cards. So let's get his belly, his ears. He's got his little arms and legs. It's such a cute little stuffy, tiny little charm stuffy. We've got his legs and then his arms. The dice I die cut because I wanted it to go with just my colors of my color scheme in general of what I was using for most of these cards. I did it in the seaside and a white cardstock, so I did not do a black and white die. But here is where I have to die cut that little bow from Pomegranate Cardstock. So let me just get that die cut really quick, and then we can adhere that to him. How cute is he? All right, so he is done there, and there's a little tiny piece that goes right in the center. Like a little scarf. That's the word I'm thinking of. My gosh, how cute is he? Okay, so he will have a little chain that's hooked to him. Here's this cute little pig. I have a little black dot for his eyes. Here's his legs. It kind of gives you the second set of legs, and they're a little bit darker with a shadow. And then when you line it up, it also gives the nose. Here is that dice. And so I'm going to adhere that. And so now we have our little charm pieces that we can hook to this purse here. And then I think after this, we have one more card to put together, and then we can get all of them put together completely. So where I didn't create my purse tall enough, you can create it tall because the die cut for the top and right side, that's all it is. So you could make the purse as tall as you wanted it to, as tall as you wanted it to be. And I just wasn't thinking that this teddy bear was as big as it was. So putting that little clasp at the bottom isn't going to work because my teddy bear is going to hang off, and I don't want to cut any of the teddy bear off. So I was just trying to play around and kind of deciding where I think it should be, but I think it needs to be higher. So I'm going to put it one chain piece higher. And I thought, oh, maybe on this side, but no, he needed to be on the right side. It just didn't make sense where he was going to be. So let's put him up here at the top, which I think is perfect. I actually think it's really, really cute. And some 1mm foam adhesive and a tiny bit of glue. And I'm going to place him right there. So he is perfect. Then we have our dice and our pig. And we're going to do the same chains. Again, you can use the different little clasp, or it's not a clasp, but the other little hanger piece for these. Again, I just opted to not do that. I think I had to go grab some more foam adhesive. So one more 1mm. And then I'm going to place that down, and then I can kind of gauge where it's going to be and trim the excess of that chain off. So I'm going to cut that off. Very cute. I love that little dice. And then here's that little extra die, that little bonus die of the cute little pig. And like I mentioned, he also has wings, which is kind of funny, but I just thought the little pig was so cute by himself. He's got such a little cute curly Q of a tail. I think it's darling. Let me just slide this over and then place our pig. Isn't that so cute? I just think this is such a fun little purse. Okay, now this last one I think is my favorite. I'm going to take that stencil. I have a white shaped purse again, and I'm just going to use the stencil that has the cherries, the leaves, and the stems. So we're going to create this cute little cherry purse, but I'm going to do it with red cherries this time, not pink cherries like we did for the background. I am not using the stencils that create the stripes, although that would be really cute too as a purse. That would be darling. But I thought it'd be really fun to just do this cherry purse. So for that one, white purse with the cherries, I have the Kraft cardstock, or like the camel color, for the straps of the purse and part of the, I don't want to say lock, the little latch or whatever on your purse. I can't even think right now. And we're going to use the charm, the cherry charm, and the bow for that with a little bit of gold. So this is different here. This little clasp piece, that's the word I'm thinking of, for your purse. So I'm going to do that with pink and the Kraft cardstock. This is against the chiffon background. And you can see that this purse is a little bit taller. I thought ahead because when I was making that teddy bear purse, I'm like, oh no, it just wasn't tall enough. So I needed to make this purse taller. So I'm going to adhere, of course, our handle pieces for our purse straps or handles, however you want to, whatever it's called. Whatever you want to call it, right? I guess it's called all things, a strap, a handle, whatever. I'm going to curve that a little bit more than I did on the other ones. So again, you could just change it up just the tiniest bit. And then here is our gold piece with the little pink part of our strap there, our purse strap, which I think is darling. Then we have our little red tie. I do think this is my favorite purse. Let me know what your guys' favorite purse is. And if you have a favorite card, because you know we have a couple others that aren't purses, but I think this one's my favorite. There's something cute about these cherries. So let me put these stems together really quick. And this is going to have a short chain on it. Like really, I would even say there's not even really a chain on it, but it came out cute anyways. And then let's get our little handle there. Here's our little chain piece, but I end up cutting off like 99.9% of it. And there's our cute cherries. Again, foam adhesive behind those as well. Let me trim that down and then we can put this in place. So I did the sentiments, the hot foil sentiments. I did that on the black cardstock. So there's 3 other sentiments in the small die of the month, and they're embossed into it, into like a flag banner. And one says, the one of them that I use says Happy Brunch Day, which I think is really cute, and Thanks a Brunch. So, and then there's a third one, but I can't remember what that one says. That's what I'm going to be using for the sentiments. Let me get this bow on here really quick, and then I will show you those. So you're going to place down your centerpiece that has the sentiment and then our kind of flag banner die on the outside. So I'm going to do that twice and run that through with the black cardstock. So I know in the photos it's hard to see, but in person you absolutely can see what the sentiment says. And I love, love, love this pop of black. So everything is going to have some foam adhesive. I mentioned this one, I do trim it down smaller. And the sentiment is actually scooched over onto part of the plate. And you'll see that in a minute. We're going to add some pops of color to finish this off. Let me trim off this excess here. These will all be adhered to a white A2 size card base. But again, I think these cards turned out so cute. These were definitely fun club kits from Spellbinders. I mean, they really always are to me, but there was something just really cute about these. And it's not holiday, so it was kind of fun to do something other than holiday, even though I love doing holiday cards. So I'm going to use some black pops of color because I loved how much the black sentiment stood out and just, I don't know, just added this really almost an elegant feel to it. So I wanted to finish that off with some black pops of color. I'm going to put a few of those dots and I'm just gently tapping on the back just to kind of even them out. It kind of gets rid of that point that sticks up when you squeeze out those little dots. Let's just finish these last few and then we can take a look at these up close. So here you can see I made this smaller and scooched over that sentiment. I like how this layout is much better. So you definitely could give this to anybody. I think it's kind of a universal card. And then this is my favorite one. This is my favorite one. All right, let's take a look at these up close. So we have that large die here and the foiled sentiments. We also used the stencil of the month on the background of that purse. Here is the small die of the month. Really cute with the 3D embossing folder for the background. Love that. This is the glimmer of the month on that purse. We've got that beautiful hot foil glimmer plate. And then the large die of the month. This is the stencil of the month for that beautiful background. And then I used some of the images from the small die of the month. And then we're going to take a look at that last card. How pretty is this? The large die of the month with that 3D embossing folder on the purse. Okay, guys, we are all finished. Thanks for sticking it out with me. I hope that you enjoyed all 5 of these cards. I hope that you feel inspired by them and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you do enjoy this and any of my other videos, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Definitely comment and thumbs up. Thanks so much, and I will be back soon with another video. Bye.